which position will have the best competition during training camp for the Denver Broncos this season? That's a question that we got in this week's mailbag. Todd, what's your answer? Where's the best competition?
I honestly think cornerback is the realest competition. You look at wide receiver, I think there's, a clear kind of starting group.
I think so too.
And a secondary group. But cornerback, I don't think that there is a true starter. Whether it's Will Levis. Not Will Levis. What's his name?
Riley Moss.
Levi Wallace.
Will Levis, Levi Wallace.
What is that? It's like a tongue twister. Levi Wallace.
Wow.
There's a good group of guys there that can play.
Awesome. Yeah.
And so I'm not sure who's going to emerge victorious.
Yeah, I think that's a good one because I hadn't thought about that with the receivers, but it does feel like we already kind of know what it's going to look like week one.
Yep.
Cortland Sutton is going to be on the field a lot. He's their best receiver. I think that one's kind of open and shut. Marvin Mims is going to be like your Z receiver.
Has to be.
He's your number 2. He's just playing the Jerry Jeudy role from last year. I don't see that changing in training camp. From there, like maybe Josh Reynolds and Tim Patrick are competing a little bit for who will be the kind of like third option versus fourth option. In part because they play pretty similar roles, a lot from the slot, you would think, maybe a little bit of boundary from either one of them. So maybe there's some competition there, but then you keep going like Troy Franklin. We know what he's going to do. It's going to be just like Marvin Mims last year. You're going to run him deep on the boundary, see if that opens things up. If it goes well, maybe his role will expand, but I don't think what he does in training camp really changes that. And then you don't really know who else will make the roster, so maybe that's where the competition is. But if I had to bet, little Jordan Humphrey is going to be kind of at the top of that list because he was last year, and we know what he does. Devon Bailey, if he makes a team, maybe that's some competition, but we kind of know what he does. Brandon Johnson, we know what he... So it does feel like maybe there really is only that one or maybe two competitions, and the rest of it, we know what's going to happen already.
Yeah. It's kind of clear cut. I guess you could say, linebacker is one more.
Yeah, that's a good one.
With Jonas and Cody, but in my mind, that's already, Jonas for like second down, Cody third down.
Yep.
But it definitely could, definitely change. I think there's real competition there. But when you look around at every other position, man, it feels like we're kind of got a good understanding of who our starters are and who the backups are going to be.
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to emerge victorious from this cornerback battle?
I'm going to go with Riley. Because if it's a tie, Riley Moss is going to be the starter.
All right.
I'm pretty confident in that. I think that Levi Wallace, this kind of looks like last year's group, honestly, where Levi Wallace is your Fabian Moreau, a guy who, has started a lot of games, has played in some different places, a little bit older player. You know that you can trust him, but you also know that you're not going to run a lot of press man with him because at this point in his career, he's probably not going to win that battle often enough. But if you need somebody who can sit back a couple steps and keep everything in front of him, short gains only, he should be able to do a lot of that. But Riley Moss has the upside. And really, Demari Mathis might be in that Riley Moss role from last year where, say, like, if it gets to you, you get an opportunity. But, you're going to need a little bit of help. I also think that this is going to be a competition, though. If Demari goes out there and picks off a bunch of passes, or Levi Wallace might be a better example of that. He's somebody who has gotten his hands on a lot of passes in his day, where knocking him away, intercepting him. I think that there is a little bit of competition here. Although Riley Moss, it feels like that's who they would like to come and take this job. Yeah.
Did you see him on a receiver?
No.
Levi Wallace caught a pick at the end of the game against the Raiders.
Probably
to win the game.
Okay.
And so it was like a little bit of a highlight because they were showing like Devontae Adams' frustration with like poorly thrown balls, and it just so happens that he was the one that intercepted it to win the game against the Raiders. So
the ball skills are there. Pause. That's a good one, right?
That's important, though.
It's important. Yeah, no, that's very important. So, yeah, I think that's a good one. Going back to those linebackers, though, I think that's going to be fun, especially because you're going to be there helping out quite a bit with the coaching side. And when you look at those guys, one of the things that I think it was Sean Payton who said it during the spring practices, was that Cody Barton, they see as a player who's still improving. And I've kind of seen him, he's 28 now, and in linebacker years, he's the same age as Shaq Leonard, who is like a multiple-time All-Pro who's already kind of out. And so I saw him as a guy who you kind of know what you're going to get, but they say he played his best ball last year, opportunities expanded, and all of a sudden they think that he might be able to take another step, which is kind of an interesting look at. And they've got Jonas Griffith on the other side who has all of the physical tools to make plays in the box. Like, he has the athleticism, he has the size, he has the strength. It's just that you need to make sure he's going in the right direction. Making sure he understands the responsibilities, making sure he's playing quickly and not thinking too much. And so having that group together, that's going to be fun for you, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really fun. I think they have two guys with upside. I think that's always fun. It's not fun coaching Leonard when he's on his decline, but you got to get him ready to play, what I'm saying, week in and week out. When you're coaching guys who...
I really hope they don't just, sign him this week. just to be able to clip that. Yeah.
Guys that have potential and you're just, want to see it click, want to see them, get better, want to see them continue to advance. I think that's the joys of coaching, you know what I'm saying? And, I'm excited. I'm not the head linebacker coach or anything. That's not my role. But, I'll be assisting different positions and stuff like that. So I think I'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. I think running back's another good competition. And to me, it really starts with Samaje Perine because he, of all of the veterans on the roster, might be the closest to the chopping block, just because you have so many running backs that it looks like the Broncos would like to hold on to. And, I don't think you're getting Jaleel McLaughlin to the practice squad at this point.
No.
I don't think you're getting Audric Esme to the practice squad. Blake Watson, I don't probably think so either. So can Samaje fight off all these younger backs and prove that, he is the best option? They will lose something if he's not the guy who's out there on third downs in pass protection or out there running routes, because we've seen what he can do in those situations. It's really Samaje versus, it's like a 3-on-1. Yeah, as Drake would call it. Yeah.
20v1.
Yeah. 1v20.
I think that is exactly how it's looked at. He has to be such a valuable asset on third down and also on special teams that they have no choice but to keep him, because I think 9 times out of 10, a veteran player that's not a starter versus a young guy that you just drafted that you think has potential, the young guy usually wins.
Yep.
And it really doesn't take much for them to win that battle.
At running back in particular.
Yeah.
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 Like, it's one thing if it's a tackle. If it's like, I don't know, Garrett Bowles, it looks like the younger guy's kind of gone. It's like you don't mess with that. With running back, if things don't work out, there's going to be a dozen of them on the market in October that you can just grab anyway.
Yep. And it's not like either one would have a huge role in the offense this year.
You wouldn't think.
Now, if you think that Samaje can, then that's his ticket to stay in.
Yep.
But if he's going to be, a third down back, and if Javonte's a little bit more healthy, so he plays a little bit more third down, then that means Samaje's role is even, smaller. So your thought process is like, hey, maybe a rookie can go in there and do that, or maybe a young guy could. Like, I think that's why they choose the cheaper, younger guy with potential over the guy that they know is good now, but he, I don't think they see a future 3 years down the line with, necessarily Samaje.
And I think, first of all, I think Samaje is an underrated running back. I think
so
that
too.
he did a lot of really good things for the Broncos last year, and I think even numbers wise, that shines through. Like, it's very obvious that he had a good season. It's just that he isn't quite seen in that way for some reason. Because of that, though, I think if we go to, it's the Seattle week 1, and every single third down, it's Samaje and not Jaleel, fans are not going to be happy. The fans want Jaleel to be getting the third down opportunities.
Yep.
And I like we've said, I think the Broncos want him to earn those as well. I think Blake Watson fits in that role. I think that Audric Estime, that short yardage, he's your big back. Samaje is also big, but
Big back.
is
big
Audric
back.
a step ahead, and can he show that they need him in set? So I think that's another really good competition. Also, I think it's interesting we didn't even bring up the quarterback competition.
We didn't.
I think it's Bo Nix.
Yeah, I think it is too.
I don't think that's. We'll call it a competition, but I'll be shocked if that's not Bo Nix. All right, that's going to do it for today. If anybody has any questions for next week, feel free to put them on the post for this at thednvr.com. Leave them in the podcast comments, and we'll talk then.